Please note, at approximately 53 minutes into this recording, there is a brief outage of the audio due to a momentary power loss caused by the storms of the evening.
Delanco Township Committee meeting of Monday, August 7th, 2023, beginning at 7 p.m. at the Delanco Township Municipal Building, 770 Coopertown Road, Delanco, New Jersey.
Hallelujah.
Test. We are working. Mayor, we are recording.
Oh, good. I'd like to welcome everyone to the August 7th, 2023 Township Committee meeting. Roll call, please, Janice.
Mr. Bartlett.
Here.
Mr. Olet.
Here.
Ms. Seuss.
Here.
Mr. Templeton.
Here.
Mrs. Patrick.
Here. Also present, Mr. Schwab, our Township Administrator, Mr. Fox, our Township Engineer, Mr. Heinhold, our Township Solicitor, Mrs. Lohr, our Municipal Clerk, Mrs. Russell, our Deputy Municipal Clerk, Mr. Fenimore, Superintendent of Public Works, and Mr. Tilger, our Police Chief. Would you please join me in the flag salute?
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Janice, please read the Sunshine Statement.
Please be advised that proper notice of this meeting has been given in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act in the following manner. Written notice has been mailed to the Burlington County Times and Courier Post and published in the January 4th, 2023 editions. Written notice has been posted on the official bulletin board of the Township of Delanco at least 48 hours prior to the meeting.
Thank you, Janice. At this moment, I'd like to actually have a moment of silence in memory of the loss of our Lieutenant Governor, Oliver. So she was a very dedicated service representative for our state. Thank you. The first item of business is Ordinance 2023-11. It's an ordinance amending Chapter 110 of the Code of the Township of Delanco to modify and amend the I-3 Modified Industrial Zone and related provisions. This is our second reading by title only and public hearing. So at this time, the hearing is open to the public for Ordinance 2023-11. Okay. There being no comments from the public, I'll close this portion of the meeting to the public. And is there a motion to adopt Ordinance 2023-11?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Janice?
Mr. Bartlett.
Yes.
Mr. Olet.
Yes.
Ms. Seuss.
Yes.
Mr. Templeton.
Yes.
Mrs. Patrick.
Yes. The second item on the agenda is Ordinance 2023-12, an ordinance amending Chapter 123 of the Code of the Township of Delanco governing animals to amend Article 1 to be consistent with the state law and to create Article 4 or 5 governing keeping of hens. This is the second reading by title only and public hearing. Hearing is now open to the public for Ordinance 2023-12. Yeah, here it comes. There being no comments from the public, I'll close this portion of the meeting to the public. And is there a motion to...
I have a comment.
Okay.
On 123-29, creation of the Delanco Hen Advisory Board compliance. Section B, Item 1, where it reads, it shall consist of at least 3 and no more than 5 Delanco residents. However, 1 or more non-Delanco residents with expertise and training in this area may be appointed if sufficient Delanco residents are not available. I'd like to have that changed to 2/3 of the residents don't need, or need to be residents. So out of the 5, you need at least 3. Out of the 3, you need at least 2 Delanco residents to be on the board.
Oh, I thought, didn't you send that in?
I had sent it in to, I shared that with the committee.
I was asked whether that would be a substantial change requiring any additional notice, and my opinion is that it's not.
Yeah.
It's a minor modification,
So
and
we
if the
can-
governing body is agreeable to that, then we can
Yeah.
make that amendment.
We have
Fine.
no problem with that.
And then the other item was, again, Section B, number 4, the members shall elect a chair, a vice chair, and board secretary from the members. And I would like to make sure that the chair and the vice
Delanco.
chair are from Delanco.
Right, we did get that, and that was no substantial change, right, Doug?
Correct.
Okay, they were, I thought they were accepted, yeah.
Okay.
And for, on the first one, 12329B, what number was that you're changing to 2/3 membership? Number 1?
Number 1.
1
Okay. All right.
and 4.
And 4 will be changed that the chair and vice chair shall be Delanco residents.
Correct.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that they have to have chickens.
No.
They need to have
They-
the training, the qualifications.
Right.
To hold those seats.
Right, okay.
So I'd make a motion to approve that with Karen's suggested changes.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, Janice?
Okay, sorry?
She did.
Mr. Bartlett?
Yes?
Mr. Alette?
Yes.
Ms. Seuss?
Yes.
Mr. Templeton?
No. I've disagreed with this ordinance, that I believe it should have gone through it's a zoning issue, and it should have gone through the planning board for review and really look at this carefully. It's a zoning and it's a public health issue. The other thing I have some difficulty with is the makeup of the, excuse me, the advisory board, in that according to an email, some people that already have the illegal coops right now are already pre-appointed to that board, correct?
They would only be, any member of that board would have to have the training and take the test, as they would if they have chickens. So members of the board, if I'm not mistaken, Gwen Dale is here. She has helped set up several towns with an ordinance, and also the board. She also provides the training. So let's say, for instance, if I was the township's liaison, I would have to take the course and the test as a resident who has chickens. So in order to have chickens, you have to pass the test. You have to take the course. So it makes sense that people be on the board that understand what is required and what they are expected, that the coop meets the recommendations or the regulations, and that is all in the course and the test. So in order to be on the board, any member of the board should have to take it. And the people that have chickens, of course, they would have to take it, and they would be qualified because they would have already passed everything.
Well, no, they may be qualified, but they need to be appointed by the township committee.
Exactly, but I mean, in order to, they would at least have to take that, yes. They would definitely be approved, yes. But it makes sense.
It just seemed, according to the correspondence that was circulated a couple weeks ago, as this ordinance was being finalized, that the people that had the illegal coops right now would be on the board, and I found it ironic that the people who couldn't follow the rules of the community to begin with are now the enforcement and inspection entity. And we don't do anything else like that. We don't tell a developer to sign off on their project. We don't tell a homeowner to sign off on their building CO. It just, this whole process on this ordinance has been expedited through to, I don't know,
This is,
accommodate a very limited and illegal operation right now.
actually, this ordinance has been worked on since last September, I believe.
Yeah, it's been almost a year.
It's been almost a year, and there was a lot of research done, myself included, doing it, and it's, according to our attorney, it wasn't required to go before the Joint Land Use Board, Doug, right?
Yeah, we specifically looked at that. The ordinance is under our general code. Some towns do deal with this under zoning, but once you do it under zoning, you grant essentially property rights associated with uses. This is a public safety and health general welfare ordinance. If the governing body isn't happy with the way the program is going, it can change that without being worried about somebody claiming a property right in what they were able to do previously.
Right, and it's not like we're trailblazers in this ordinance. There's been plenty of other towns in the state that have done this before and had these programs, and we've kind of waited and seen where they have come up with, and that's what we based our ordinance off of, what we know works. So thank you for your work on it, Kate. I think it's a great ordinance, and we took our time, in my mind, over a year to explore exactly what fit for our town and made sense.
Right, and there were a lot of changes. I'd like to thank Richard, our township administrator, who really went through this with a fine-tooth comb, and I did do a lot of research, and I talked to a lot of municipalities that have this, and no one had any complaints. No one said that they had any complaints from the residents. And you're talking 21 municipalities when I originally started. There may be more now. Gwen would probably know that if there have been more adopted before we've adopted this. But it wasn't something that was rushed through. It was well thought out, and I'm sorry you feel that way, Mike. So you said no. And can we finish our vote then, Janice?
Mrs. Patrick?
Yes. And I believe at this time, Doug, you have to step out. Thank you. Thanks, Doug.
Hope you have an umbrella.
The worst isn't even here yet. It's gonna hit like in the next few minutes. Like 10 minutes.
Okay. Gwen, I know you were here for this, and I know you have to travel, so feel free to leave. Anybody that was just here for this ordinance, I understand because of the weather and everything, so feel free. Thank you for your...
Thank you to the council for all their input. It's been a real honor and pleasure to have worked with you, and I look forward to continuing that relationship.
Good. And if you could send me the, I know I probably have it, but the email information for anyone who needs to take the course. I know Suzanne's already taken it and passed the test, so we have one already person who's qualified. So to me, and then I can circulate it to anyone else who's interested. Okay. Thank you, Gwen.
We're not kicking you out. It's pretty nasty out there. So if you want to stay, you can stay. It's pretty bad.
It's up to you because it's pouring, but
It's
up to
pouring
you.
and thundering and lightning if you want to stay here. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Be
Take
careful.
care. Thank you. Thanks for all your support and help.
Yeah, it's nasty.
It is nasty, yeah. Okay. The next item on our agenda is ordinance 2023-13, authorizing and approving a first modification to a service agreement between the Township of Delanco and the Delanco Township Sewage Authority for the construction of a sewer lining project and other matters relating to the sewer system, authorizing the execution and delivery of said service amendment and providing for other matters relating thereto. This is the second reading by title only and public hearing. There being no comments from the public, I'll close this portion.
You didn't open it to the public.
Oh, I'm sorry. Open the meeting to the public. I'm sorry. Anyone coming forward for ordinance 2023-13? Any comments? Okay, I'll close this portion of the meeting to the public. Is there a motion
So
to
moved.
approve?
Second.
Roll call, Janice?
Mr. Bartlett.
Yes.
Mr. Olet.
Yes.
Ms. Seuss.
Yes.
Mr. Templeton.
Yes.
Ms. Fitzpatrick.
Yes. Let's see. Meeting is open to the public, session 1. Ray?
Good evening. Ray Weber, 22 Ships Way. Two things, well, three things, really. First, I'd like to invite some of the council members on the 14th of September at 1:30 to our owners meeting or HOA open meeting. Also, I'd like to invite Chief Tilder or a representative on the 14th.
At what time, sir?
1:30. I know there's one, maybe two of you can come, and that's about it because of,
Yeah, I can only have 2.
yeah.
And it's 1:30?
1:30 on the 14th of September.
We can all go and listen as long as we don't act on anything, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you don't,
September 14th, August.
I can do it. I should be there, Ray.
Okay, I just want to invite you to this. Second thing deals with the trees in Newton's Landing and the sidewalks, which is a sore subject. Since your last meeting, which I attended, we've had 2 HOA meetings. And both times, the owners have complained to me about it. As you can see, we have a number of them here. Some of them didn't come because of the weather, which I can understand that. I don't have a problem with it. But the problem is that I understand the ordinance and stuff, and we're even looking at our own common areas where the sidewalks are raised. We'll have to go through there. A number of the residents are complaining about the trees or the township trees that are causing the problem. And there's a lot of problems in there. Those trees should never have been put in there. Back in 2019, I think it was, 18-19, there was a grant. We went and redid them. Guess what? They're all back to the same way they were before.
Yeah, because they just put this new sidewalk right over the roots, because I saw one at 24 Wolverton.
Yeah. Now, the other thing too is not only the sidewalks, but some of these tree roots have already affected the driveway. The driveways are lifted from that whole problem again. And it's getting worse. And the owners here are complaining about it. I have one owner who's complaining about the height of the tree, because the tree is twice the size of her height of her house already. And the tree that's there will grow 90 to 120 feet tall. And it's already over twice the height of her house. And it's still growing. And it's causing problems with the sprinkler systems, not on the owner's side of the sidewalk, where the roots are going into there. Again, it's causing them problems for this. I know John is looking at trying to get a contractor to come out to trim trees because they're hanging down. There's problems. I know this guy, he's short people, and he's got guys that he's got to try to fit it in, but he can't. That came out from last meeting. So what happens is, that's where I understand the ordinance. I know we've got to get approval from the township engineer, I think it is, and the code enforcement officer.
Shade Tree, actually. Shade Tree Commission.
Well, I'm looking at this thing here, this ordinance. The code says the Shade Tree Commission, but the ordinance here, exception for even cause municipal owned street trees, It says here that the determination upon proper notice given by a budding property owner, the township enforcement code officer shall make determination as to whether the shade tree is a contributing factor, and if so, the number of sidewalk panels impacted. The township enforcement officer may consult with the township engineer in making these determinations. It doesn't mention anything about the shade tree commission.
Are you reading from the reimbursement part of the ordinance?
Yeah, that's reimbursement.
That's for the reimbursement.
That's not to take the tree down. I'm not sure when Shade Tree's meeting again. Fern, when are they meeting again? Aren't you there? Are you their liaison?
I'm not, but,
Mike is.
Oh, Mike.
Yeah.
They meet on a Wednesday, I think.
23rd.
So they meet on the 23rd of August, and I don't know if I can make that meeting personally, but I would suggest that all of you go to that meeting and take some pictures, and you may want to actually apply online. They have an online application that you can fill in about a specific tree that you want checked out, because that's what I did with one of the residents in Newton's Landing, and I think it's a good idea. If you take pictures, apply to Shade Tree, explain the situation. If I can personally attend the meeting, I will. I'm not sure if I can because I'm having surgery, but I will do my best. But that's what you need to do. That ordinance pertains to a reimbursement program that we have, that if you have to replace the sidewalk after the tree is removed, or if there is a ramp or what have you, and the panels are caused by our tree, that there's a reimbursement program for so much for a panel, and the engineer and the code enforcement determine what panels qualify. And I believe it's $100 a panel, Richard?
50% of the cost.
Up to 100.
Up to 100. It's up to 100. 50% up to 100, yeah.
Well,
But the first place to go right now would be the Shade Tree and to plead your case, and I understand your frustration,
Yeah,
believe me.
submit the online form. That provides a record of when you submitted it and a good description of what the tree is and its location. That's all very helpful. That's critical, and it's all on that form. So don't try to do it for each individual tree, or if there's two trees at a particular address and so forth. But that's all
Right,
for the
and then
shade tree.
definitely attend the meeting to,
well, see, let me say this, I haven't had good luck with the Shade Tree Commission.
so there is, if you read the ordinance for the Shade Tree Commission, that if you're denied if you have two denials, that you can then appeal to the Township Committee,
Okay,
okay?
all right, well, I don't know if any of the other plans want. Okay, Joanne, I'll be back.
Okay, Ray.
Hi, Joanne Albert, 10 Russ Farm Way, in Newton's Landing. I have looked at the application. I just would like to clarify some things, because I think there was some misinformation going around within our community. From what I read here, the Shade Tree Commission will determine and will allow us to cut the roots if it's causing a problem. Is that correct?
That's a case-by-case evaluation.
So they are going to actually, so really, we should have every resident who has a problem fill in an application, have the Shade Tree Commission come out and make a determination, because here it says they may remove the entire tree, they may cut the roots.
Right.
Or they may decide not to. So anyone who has this
Anyone,
problem,
yes.
Anybody in town, any resident.
Any resident anywhere, yeah.
So that should be the first step.
Yes.
Okay, because people were under the misimpression that there would be no way that they would ever permit you to trim the roots, and obviously you're not going to pay the money to correct it and then have the same root exist there.
Right, exactly.
Okay, and I also realize besides just replacing it, things like ramping are permitted. so that it could be raised. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I think that answered the question, that every resident, we should tell them if they have a problem. And also, we, as I'm on the board, we have common areas that we have to take care of. So we need to really apply for every sidewalk where there is a problem, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Oh, Ray, you coming back?
All right, Ray Weber, 22 shifts. Couple of things. Has the township looked at doing any type of consolidation of services, like industry does? The reason why I'm saying that is because of the tax problems and what I'm seeing, constantly taxes going up and everything else. Industry has looked at it since the early 90s, consolidating services for locations. For instance, companies that had locations going all the way up from Burlington, Vermont down to Lakeland, Florida, consolidated all the services in one location in King of Prussia. The only reason why I know that is because I was involved in it. I still lived over here and I had to commute to King of Prussia. What happened with the consolidation of the services? Everything went to one location. So what happens is instead of having one person at each location, say 20 different locations, you had maybe 5 people and they handled everything else.
Can you give me an example of what you mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm missing something,
What
Ray.
happens is, what it is, say you have a plant in Burlington, Vermont, you have a plant in King of Prussia.
But what applies
How does it relate to the
to a
township, though?
municipality? Do you have a suggestion that we're missing?
Is it a shared service type of thing?
It's
Is
a
what you're?
shared service type
Yes.
of thing.
Okay.
Yes.
Shared
Everything
service.
goes to one location. Everything, that same type of work is all done at one location.
Well, it's not. It's like we do shared services agreements with other municipalities. We work with the county on different. We have a shared service with the county, but the work, in other words, let's say we've had a code enforcement official who was shared between Riverside and Delanco for a number of years. John, our public works superintendent, he does services with other communities and they trade off on different services. So, and there's.
Yeah, like if they have equipment that we don't have, they use ours, we
I
use.
understand that, but
Yeah.
also too is what about the individuals and stuff? How often do you consolidate, and what happens is you have, let's state, Delanco Township's 3 miles.
3.3.
3.3, Beverly's less than a mile square, Edgewood Park is 3.48, give or take, you know?
Right.
I think you got the idea. Then what happens is, why not have services that are for that whole area, 3 townships, fire department for one thing. Nothing against you, Adam. Police department for the one area, for the 3 towns. You're talking less than 6 miles each.
I believe this was looked into because I asked when I first came in and there really wasn't a cost
Yeah.
benefit.
When I first got on township committee, we were working on a shared service with Beverly for police officers.
Right.
And also for public works, 3 different towns. And the police actually was going to cost more money to have a shared service with Beverly than to have our own. Because Beverly wasn't really computing what their cost was initially. And you don't have less employees, you didn't have less police officers out on the road. You actually would probably have more because they would be covering a bigger area. Public Works we did with Willingboro and Beverly, was it a 3 or was it just?
We do Delran, we do Edgewater, Beverly.
But I mean, we did a CWA, we were thinking of doing a shared service with other public works, and that was before I got on committee in 2002. That didn't work out. Because people don't, now I know what you're saying, but you're saying a plant. We're talking about a community. And John does do shared service right now with, he just mentioned it, Willingboro, Delran, Riverside, very little probably, but, so we do shared services. But I can tell you that we haven't reduced our employees. Actually, we need more employees because we're short officers and we're short public works employees because we can't hire. People aren't coming out for the job. So I understand what you're saying. We've tried it. We do it. But it does save some money, but taxes are, it's very difficult to not raise taxes because every one of you, I'm sure, are you're experiencing increases in your everyday life at the supermarket. If you're going to buy a house or buy a car, the interest loans are up. Your insurances, everything is going up, and municipalities do what we can to cut costs, but we experience those same increases that every person experiences. And I can say that I think our governing body does a pretty good job on budgeting. We don't overspend. And John's department is down by 3 employees, and that is 3 employees that he should have had years ago, and now our town has grown, so he probably could really use 4 employees. Our police department is down. So it's a difficult situation, but I don't know. I haven't researched other towns in the area lately, but I don't know of any other towns that decrease their taxes.
Well, the other thing too is, I was thinking, each school district has their own superintendent. Consolidated like they do down in Florida and everything else, in Delaware and in Virginia, where they have regional schools.
Exactly. And they were doing that in New Jersey, and that fell through. I was actually the liaison for the school board during those discussions where they were trying to regionalize. We had the superintendent at the time was an intern. It was an interim superintendent. Walt Smith, I think his last name was. He was the Burlington County superintendent at one time. And they were having meetings on regionalization, and it just fell through the cracks. It just didn't work out.
There's 2 school board meetings this month, the 9th and the 30th, 6 p.m. start.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the most likely areas of consolidation that would be beneficial. Yeah. Our professionals, Mr. Heinholter left. He's going to another meeting. Mr. Fox's firm works for, what, probably 24 municipalities in the county? Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have an office here. Yeah. He thinks he does, but he doesn't have an office. We keep him busy. So, and that's every budget cycle and all through the year, we're, cracking the nut trying to.
I look at what's going on in other states, in other areas, and they've been able to do it. It works. So that's just it. But maybe it's something you got to come back and take a look at again.
Well, I'll tell you what. And I have said this for a number of years, you need to write your legislatures, or you need to research who you're voting for, because Trenton is the one that is causing us. New Jersey has the highest taxes.
Oh, yeah.
So you need to research the people you're voting for, because it's not the municipalities. We're the ones that are told we are mandated to do this. We are mandated to do that, and the state does not reimburse us for all these mandates, for stormwater management, for lead-based testing now in certain rentals. All of these things are mandated to this municipality, and the state says it, but they don't reimburse us. So that's where it all starts, is at the state level. So maybe when we start changing some of the people in office up there, New Jersey may get some relief from taxes, because that's where it starts, and that's where we need your help. Write to your legislatures, complain, let them know that we're hanging on. It's not easy.
I Well,
It's not easy sitting up here because we have no control over some of the costs that are expected of us.
now, I've written to the governor, and to a couple of the commissioners already.
I have an email that I sent to the governor 3 months ago. They acknowledged receipt and someone would get back to me, and I've yet to get a reply. So maybe a handwritten letter would be better, but that's my suggestion, is to help us out by saying, we can't afford this anymore. Let's give these municipalities the help they deserve.
Thank you.
And just, since you brought up the fire companies, Ray, you mentioned Riverside, Beverly, Delanco, all the fire companies. We're all volunteer fire companies. You have the fire district tax across them all. The fire district tax, it basically supports the hydrant rentals from American Water and the apparatus.
Right.
If we all merged, you would still need the same amount of apparatus in order to maintain the right insurance levels and whatnot. So you're really not saving anything. We actually do have, and I'm only talking about this because I'm with the fire company, we have a agreement between the three towns, Beverly, Delanco, and Riverside. Last year we created the Riverfront Task Force because all of the volunteer fire companies were all hurting for membership. So if we have, let's just say, a smoke detector alarm going off at someone's house, you're going to get Beverly, Delanco, and Riverside dispatched at the same time, because it all depends who's available that day, who's off from work, or who's awake.
I'm familiar with that.
Yep.
I was a unit. I know.
And that's another thing we did. I lost track of the time. Was it last year or this year? Was it with EMS? Delanco EMS.
Yeah.
We didn't have enough volunteers. Delanco EMS unfortunately had to fold, and we worked on doing a agreement with Delran to have their ambulances as first response in Delanco. It's those sort of volunteer things. That's what you're looking for. We had to go to a paid company, but
That's probably in the
wins and
future.
losses on everything.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
But with the fire companies, they're all volunteers, so there's really no tax savings there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, Ray. Anyone else? Sure, come forward. State your name and address for the record, sir.
Michael Dobbin, 17 Emery Way. The warehouses that were built, are we collecting any taxes from them yet?
The taxes will be full freight. I don't believe we've received, are they on the records now, Richard? Sometimes it takes till the next year for the full roll.
Well, there's still some years left in the one down there, because that was a relatively new one, but
Right,
I think all the rest of them are, well, we haven't added any new pilots, so.
right. We don't have any pilots, any new pilots, but the new ones that are being built, are they on, have they, the
Oh, you know-
rollback taxes been paid and what have you?
Yeah, everybody's paying what they're supposed to pay.
Yeah, they're on.
There's no
Are
tax
the
exemptions
taxes
or.
based on whether there's occupancy or not?
No,
All right, someone in our community said it has to do with occupancy.
no.
So we are realizing some income from them building on otherwise vacant land. How does that affect our tax base? Specifically in a neighborhood where I'm in, Newton's Landing, where we're all on fixed income.
Well, the end result is the valuation of the municipality goes up. If you look at the assessed value of all the properties, if you have what used to be a cornfield is now a 300,000 square foot warehouse, that has a value of whatever, $10–15 million. That $15 million gets added into the total value of the municipality. If you have the same tax rate divided by that greater number, what the apportioned amount for everybody else goes down.
It should go
So
down.
that's the math problem, yes.
Now that they're completed, it should go down.
Microscopically.
Yeah,
But the monthly
it
rate
doesn't,
goes up.
But then we're chasing inflation, we're chasing
Right, I understand
everything
that.
else.
Realizing inflation,
Yep.
that's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
Political. Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Tell them to come up.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Sam,
Please
could you
state
just...
your name and address for the record.
I'm from 821 Burlington. Yes, we've been open almost 1 year, the business, and it's very slow. And we can see if we can put a couple of signs like flag or something in the shower.
Sam, what business do you own? What business do you own? What's the name?
Smoke shop. Yeah.
In
And we can have
801 Burlington Avenue, which is the camp meeting grounds.
Exotic smoke shop.
Exotic
Right.
Smoke Shop.
Yeah, we've been suffering. Business is very bad, very slow. And if we put sign, people can see because we are inside, not in the corner. Nobody can hardly see us. You know. We can have a couple of flags or signs inside. That's
Okay, we're reviewing the sign ordinance. At least it's up for discussion tonight. We haven't made any changes yet, but it is on our discussion item tonight. Signs.
I think you also need to talk to your shopping center owner about signage.
Yes.
I would talk to Mr. Marks as a starting point, and
Sorry?
I would talk to Mr. Marks, your shopping center owner, as a starting point, to
yeah, but we don't want like a sign. Like I just want to put like something to show that the business is there. Nothing like to be laying or something standing big. No.
You just want something on the
They
street.
have in all other places. I like to have permission. I don't want to just do something without permission. So if it's okay, it's good.
Well, it has to be approved, so we're gonna look through the sign ordinance tonight and see where we get. It may not be resolved tonight.
Okay.
There's a lot of issues with this sign ordinance that they've put before us, so.
Are you talking about like those flag signs, like the ones
Yeah.
like in front of your shop there, but
Yeah,
out of the
something to
street?
show up. Yeah,
Yeah.
something regular. Nothing heavy or something. You know, we
Yeah.
do that.
Okay, I understand exactly what you're talking about.
If you have a picture or a photograph of what you want to do or a drawing, and call up to the township and talk to code enforcement and see if that can be a starting point of the discussion of what you're trying to do versus,
Yes, I will.
okay,
It's the
that would be
flag.
helpful.
It's the feather signs that go in the ground.
It's the feather signs that go in the ground, the flags,
Yeah.
and they aren't permitted in our flag ordinance right now. They aren't permitted, but we're gonna look into it.
I've talked to Sam about this when I go to the post office. I talked to him, and he said he'd be willing to bring them in at night. He just wants something during the day so people know they're there because the shopping center sits back so far and there's no main signage. People don't know those businesses are there if they're not from our town. So he just wanted these feather signs like the other shops are putting up in town, technically not legally, but
Right.
that's kind of what he's asking for.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll close this portion of the meeting to the public. We'll move on to comments and reports. Harry, I guess you're up.
Yeah, I have a pretty lengthy report tonight. Start off with the Dolan project next door. On the agenda is a resolution to release their performance bond with certain conditions.
Right.
And to explain that a little bit is, the biggest issue is the landscaping, establishment of grass. It's almost impossible to get that done this time of year. So what we have done in the past, and we're recommending that you consider that, is for the developer to put up a separate performance bond just for the landscaping. So that's still under performance, which
Right.
is 100% of the cost, and that doesn't go away until we release it. The rest of the site, they can get off the performance bond and go on a 2-year maintenance bond. So that would be the condition, that they would go on the maintenance bond for the rest of the site, but the performance bond for landscaping. Then after the landscaping is accepted, there's a 2-year maintenance bond after that, and it's been even after that. And you have to have all their escrow paid up and things like that. So we don't have a problem with that, and I did speak with Scott Taylor about it, and he's on board with it, and it makes sense for them to get moved.
Okay,
That runs with the property regardless of who the owner is, correct?
That's correct. Next, the road programs. We have the 2023 road program. The design is essentially done. I met with Richard and John to review that work. That is 3rd Street from Walnut to Willow, and Benamore from Burlington to the railroad tracks. Alex from my office did meet with the Shade Tree Commission and walk both roads to make sure they're on the same page. For the trees, there's one tree that will be removed, recommended by them. There's a couple of other tree plates, and another one was going to work around the curb. The curb's sticking out a bit, we're going to saw cut the curb and just fix that. But there's only one tree that will be coming down as part of that project.
okay.
Those plans, that's a combined contract with our local money and DOT grant. So the plans and specs have to go to DOT for their approval before we can advertise. It used to be we could advertise ahead of time and just get approval later, but now they want to approve it before we can even advertise. So that's being sent in this week, probably in the next day or two, to the state. They've been working about 2 weeks behind on the reviews. So as soon as they give us their approval, we can go out and advertise and go out to bid for that project.
If I can jump in, we talked about advertising, Janice and Bev, September 1st. So we ought to have the information so we can receive the bids on the 13th and have them for you on the 19th of September to award.
Oh, good.
So we can get this work done
Good.
fall. That's the goal.
Okay.
Keep our fingers crossed that we get it back from the state and the timing gets us done that way. That's the plan.
Yeah, we looked at the timing, and it looks certainly doable for the 19th for award.
Okay,
Along with that, we have on the agenda, there's the capital ordinance for paving the front parking lot of Town Hall, the driveway at Field of Dreams as well. We want to keep that separate from the state contract, rather than put them all together so it doesn't get too confusing with DOT, because they now review the entire set of plans as well. It used to be they would only review their portion of the project. Now they review all the plans. So we're going to keep that separate. After that, there's also an option, and I know that there's been discussion. I've received emails and phone calls from various people on Iowa and West Avenue. Those are the two roads that we did not pave with the public service program. We traded off to do full width paving on other roads. West Avenue is next on our list for a road construction project, so that's in the pipeline to fix that. I did take a look at Iowa quickly, and that would cost probably about $35,000 to mill and overlay. And it would be the same exact as what close up there. It wouldn't be any curb or driving improvements. It would just be mill and overlay.
okay, West Avenue, John, remember we had some issues there with
we
drainage?
talked about it.
Okay, because I went out there and there was a lot of issues out there with the
Aprons.
yeah, with the pavement, but with the aprons.
Mhm.
The driveway aprons. Okay, so we're gonna make sure that when we do that, they're gonna be taken care of, that drainage and that
That would
driveway.
be part of the road program, yes. That wouldn't be part of what I'm talking about now. That
Oh,
would be-
okay, because
2024.
that needs to be done, yeah, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And those people will definitely raise issues, they need to know that.
Yeah, that's, like I said, it's in the pipeline of our
Okay.
5-year plan.
All right.
And it's next up, so that'll be looked at in 2024.
Okay,
So with the Iowa portion, with our estimate, if we get good prices, which you never know, but if we do get good prices and we have extra money, we do a change order under that contract, or we can add that to the paving at the Field of Dreams and this parking lot. It would kind of make sense to add it into that, because it's strictly a paving job. It's strictly a mill and overlay of our parking lot here, and it's strictly a paving over there, no concrete. So we could add the Iowa portion if the bids come in favorable for the road program. So it's just something to keep in mind and throw that out there if you wish. The Hickory Street pipe cleaning, we are obtaining quotes to do the roof cutting. I think how we're going to handle it this time is basically the same as last, but we'll get a day rate. And we'll be out there to make sure that we get our money's worth out of them, and they can cut as much as they can do in a day. And if it's authorized, we can give more additional days. Because we really don't know how bad it's going to be once we get in there. There's a section that we couldn't even get through with camera. So it's pretty bad down by the school field.
Vapors, yeah.
Harry, can you just move your mic a little closer? We're having a hard time hearing you now.
That mic's not for
I'm sorry.
that, it's for recording.
No, they amplify.
No, oh, they did? They did amplify?
Yeah,
I didn't know that, they were just for recording.
we're the deaf end down here.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Do I need to repeat anything? The last items?
No, we're good. We're reading lips.
Okay. Sorry about that. The Zubrook seawall, the plans have been submitted to DEP, the revised plans, and the Army Corps. DEP sent them one to the Historic Preservation Office, and we haven't heard from them yet. DEP indicated basically they're not going to even look at it until they hear from the historic people.
Okay.
But they really don't have any major issues. That's their key issue. We're still waiting for them. Army Corps is waiting for that as well. Everyone's waiting on their response. We have contacted DEP, who has also copied us on an email that they sent to the historic office, asking the status, and they have responded. So that's kind of where we're at. If we can get any political help, I would appreciate it.
That's par for the course with SHPO.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Work with them for decades, and it's painful.
Yes. So we're placing in a hold pattern until we get their response. We also are getting quotes for traffic striping for Newton's Landing, crosswalks, as well as the no parking striping on River's Edge. We're trying to get it under the threshold, so we just do it proposals. If that doesn't work, we may go try and get to the state contract. If we can get a contractor that's listed that we can use, and the price is favorable, we can try and use the state contract. Otherwise, we have to actually let the bid. But we are going to get proposals first and see how they come in.
Good.
Harry, the striping of the roads, okay, I know that the county did part from the front door. We got weeds growing up between the concrete. You know, we can need to spray some stuff or clean our sidewalks, but having the parking lot paved out front and striped, that's going to look great. It's, you know, people come to our town and it looks like they take care of things here.
John wants to address something.
Yeah, sure, John. I'm sorry. I'm going on a tangent here.
I agree with you.
I apologize.
Getting back to Hickory Street, okay, when he goes in with that machine, Shade Tree should know that those 2 trees there's 2 or 3 trees there. And that is a main line for Hickory Street field.
Yes.
Okay, that takes a lot of water. And it might be, I hate to say this, but these trees might be interfering with that. Should be looked into, taken down.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have this problem all the time.
They're just
Because
gonna grow right
for the
back.
water.
And somebody needs to
Harry
make,
said they're bad.
but isn't there some common sense that needs to be used with regard to these issues when we have trees that are causing problems for residents as well as the township? These are growing in our drainage, in the sewer, that you need to use some common sense and take them down when it's that problem. We all love trees.
Harry's gonna
Trees
identify
are,
them, and then just have to send somebody out
Yeah.
and check it out, because, I mean,
Well, you
this
should.
this problem's not gonna go away.
No, it's
No.
not. Not if the
Okay,
trees are
and-
still there and the roots are gonna grow back.
Hopefully I'll be here, but, you know, probably not, but, I mean, just like on Popper Street. Well, Popper Street was loaded, and I mean loaded. But that pipe was so big that somebody crawled in there on a dolly with a handsaw, one of those hand saws, and trolley all the way down. You couldn't do that now.
No.
And it was bad, and they had an idea where they were, and they removed a lot of those trees on Poplar.
Yeah.
But that's, don't forget, that's our main line there. It goes right to the creek.
It takes about 30
So
to
is,
10.
so is anyone addressing this issue with Shade Tree to let them know that these trees may have to come down because they're
Well,
affecting the drainage?
Yeah.
Once we did the root cutting, we'll also have a video.
Okay,
and-
good.
And we can identify the worst trees. And John is correct, if we cut the roots, that's just temporary.
Oh, yeah, they'll grow back.
They'll grow back. We can line the pipe, but that's pretty expensive for that size pipe. I think it's a 30 or 36 inch pipe.
Yeah.
We're talking about a lot of money because of tree roots, but.
It should tell you the integrity of the pipe there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sure they're coming in through the joints. And that's-
Yeah,
Trees look for water.
exactly.
Yeah, and actually, one thing that's going to help in the future is we put the check valve down at the creek,
Right.
because every tide, that water came all the way up to the field, Babe Field. So trees were getting watered twice a day.
Yeah.
So now they're not getting that. They're only getting when there's a rainstorm coming through the pipe. So that will help a little bit.
But not much. So, I mean, that's really important that we address that issue with Shade Tree when you see the roots there, because they probably need to come down.
Yeah, we'll make a report, so that I recommend it to the committee, and then you can direct me to do
Okay.
whatever you want me to do.
Okay.
But once we, like I said, once we get the actual stuff, we'll have video, a lot of evidence of exactly what roots, what trees, and then we go from there.
Okay.
Harry, while we're on topic of trees, it's the craziest thing I've heard, but they're building a new McDonald's out in Edgewater Park, okay? And they had to put this pipe system underneath to collect the water. But they got 4 pipes coming up, and they're gonna plant a tree in the pipe. If you heard,
Well, that's what most of the drainage is going to now. Rain gardens, vegetation to suck up the water. We have seminars on them all the time, take different systems of using vegetation to help suck up stormwater.
well, I saw those pipes and they said they were gonna plant a tree. I was like, maybe if we plant trees between the sidewalk and the street.
I've seen a tree planted on one, but.
Well, they said they're planting 4 trees. There's 4 pipes coming up, and they're supposed to plant trees. That's what the blueprints call for.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're gonna
Okay.
plant the trees where the pipe is now and take the pipe out.
No, the pipe stays
Oh, the pipe, where are they gonna plant the tree then? In the
pipe.
In the pipe?
Yeah, but when they said that, I was thinking about our streets and our sidewalks and stuff. We plant a tree, I don't know the environmental stuff on growing trees, but that's something your office or somebody in your office has a little bit more knowledge. When we plant trees between the street and the sidewalk, if it's feasible to put a pipe down there and plant the tree in the pipe so the roots are lower and maybe have less sidewalk raising.
Yeah, I'm not an arborist.
Yeah, I think the real issue is plant the right tree in the right place.
That's the biggest issue.
That's the issue, and I went through public service, had
Yeah, they did.
a whole webinar on it, and I printed out the thing, it's a nice packet. But that's the issue that we're dealing with, the right tree in the right place, or it's the wrong tree in the wrong place.
Yep.
And we're dealing with it the best we can right now, but it's happened all over town.
Absolutely.
For years.
Okay, Harry, you can.
The Field of Dreams well, the well is completed, all the electrical has been completed. They received their cut card, sent that off to PSC&G.
Good.
So as far as the well itself goes, we just have to wait for PSC&G to make the connection at the pole. After that, we have, TLC is going to connect the piping from this well to our existing system and install the valves and whatnot, so we can turn one pump on and turn another one off and vice versa. So I'm going to put a call into my connection at KSCNG, see how fast we can push that. And then we're still waiting for TLC to do their work. But my guesstimate would be a couple of weeks.
Okay.
To be up and functioning.
Can TLC do that before PSCNG's tied in?
Yes. Yes, they actually, I'm assuming they got pipe, there's pipe out at the site now. So I'm assuming they're getting geared up to do something.
Yeah.
So that's, we don't need the rain date now, but we will. The Babe Ruth park improvements, that's the recreation grant that Taylor applied for and received. They received $78,000. Part of that was to install a concrete sidewalk from the parking lot over to the field, the baseball field, mainly for handicap accessibility. I agreed that with John and Richard, and we think it's a good fit to add that work to the handicap grant, concrete work.
Okay.
The handicap grant that we received is only $50,000, and we'll get into that in a second. So if we add, and I didn't check the estimate, but Taylor's estimate was like $28,000 for the sidewalk. So now we're up to almost $80,000, so it'll be a more worthwhile project for a concrete company.
I thought we were doing blacktop.
Pardon me?
Weren't we doing blacktop?
Their conceptual plan says concrete.
It's concrete.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
Yeah,
blacktop.
it's concrete.
I believe I did too, actually.
Yeah.
And I went back and looked at it, and it says concrete on their conceptual.
Yeah, I have it with me.
So we're going to coordinate that with Steve Lennon from Taylor's office, and that's the plan.
Is there a reason why they're putting concrete instead of asphalt?
I don't know, other than, I don't know. You could put asphalt there. I mean, you could put stone if you wanted to, but this is
Well,
also
it's
hard
supposed to be
to...
accessibility area.
It's for,
It's inaccessible, it's supposed to be, can't be stone.
yeah,
Yeah.
it can't be stone for handicap.
Blacktop is cheaper than concrete, no?
So it doesn't
Yeah.
last long.
It doesn't last as long, but.
It doesn't last as long, especially on a trail, and it's, believe it or not, it's not that much cheaper
Someone else
because
is
of...
paying for it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's all handwork. They can't bring a paver, and if it was wider, then yes, without question.
The actual location, layout, et cetera, is still, you guys gotta finalize that. His
Yeah,
conceptual plan was just a little hand drawn.
right. I have the conceptual plan with me.
So, you know, we can look into that if you want to I can work up a price for the differences, but I'm just going off of what,
Right.
it's such a Taylor project.
I'm just thinking of like the park trails and stuff, they're all blacktop, not concrete.
It's right at the,
It's a choice, it's a,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah.
John, do you have an opinion on either one? Is one better than the other, in your opinion?
Well, I just, we'll eventually be driving equipment over, and that's gonna be a little hairy, one way or another. Something's gonna be driving over it, dump truck, loader, you know.
So what would hold up better for you?
I just think, I know the concrete will last longer, but I mean,
The asphalt would hold up better over traffic. If we knew that we were gonna be driving the equipment over it, we would make it a 6-inch sidewalk, just like a driveway.
Right.
So
But I
with
mean-
that being said, asphalt would actually be more durable.
and then putting concrete curb down, you know, it's gonna have to be below ground because, or it's gonna be up a little bit, then they'll have to blend everything in, and now you're gonna have, you know, all that, I don't know. Somebody have to show me something different.
Yeah, there wouldn't be any curb, it would just be,
There's not a curve, yeah.
No,
not a
Not
curb on
gonna
the
be a
plan.
curb?
No,
No?
no, it'd just be a side, like a concrete
But it's
sidewalk.
only,
Yeah,
it's
that's what
only
I-
4
that's what I
foot
mean.
wide. It's
I mean,
only,
it's gonna be like a
it's
straight
a
or curb?
concrete walkway. It's only 4
Oh,
foot
curb.
wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, there's conceptual, you know, shows the curve, that's to be determined, the actual location.
All right, that shows us or, tells us, something better, then I guess we can listen to it,
Right.
Something we can explore.
And I like to see the plans, first of all,
Here, I have a
Where-
plan right here.
where they're gonna go and how they're gonna go.
This is a concept plan. I'll leave it for you to take a look at and then just put it in my mailbox, okay?
Thanks.
If you'd like, I can talk to Scott. or Steve
Yeah, make
and-
sure that we're doing something that's durable, but also that John's vehicles can cross over it.
Yeah.
And that it's gonna last as long as possible. So, and if John has any concerns after he looks at this, you wanna let Harry and Scott know.
Okay.
Okay, then we'll move on from there.
Okay, good.
And we'll have time to make a final decision on that.
Yes, and a final plan, we need a final
Yeah.
plan,
So, yep.
yeah, for the township to approve. Okay.
Yeah, and that's all I have, man.
CDBG.
Oh, I'm sorry.
CDBG, yeah. that's
Trying to
fine.
avoid it, aren't you?
Yeah, I know, we're not happy with that.
The ramps, we, again, John and Richard and I met. We can only do 10 to 12 ramps
Right.
with the money that we receive. So I'm recommending we do a bid for 10 ramps and then an alternate for 2 more. So if it's a good price, we can just add the extra 2 on, and if not, we can still award for the 10. I sent an email out, I think I hope everyone received that, with what we recommend, and I can give you the reasoning behind it. The first one, Mulberry and Walnut, it's extremely unsafe. And
Right.
we've had complaints from homeowners for quite a while on that intersection. And I'm concerned about the liability for the township. Because when you have a ramp, you're indicating to the public that it's safe, or safe as can be. When there's no ramp at all, there's not really liability there because it's a curb like anyplace else. This one concerns me, so I think we should replace those 2 ramps.
Right.
After that, we went to locations that didn't have existing ramps currently, as opposed to ramps that were not meeting code. There's probably 100 ramps in town that technically meet code, but they're safe, there's not a problem, it's the old time brick ones and things like that, so we're not really concerned with those. So we looked at the ones with no existing ramps. My thought process when we met was that I went the opposite way. I deleted ones and see what we ended up with. What I did was I took basically the north section, west and Goucher and that area. Most of that area does not have any ramps at all.
I know.
But we just paved all those with public service.
Oh,
So I hate to cut open a brand new paving job for a certain number of ramps, which we can only do about 6 more there. So then that left us with Edgewood in third and Edgewood in second. And I know the mayor has mentioned, I believe, one of those you see complaints about.
yeah, but West Avenue was also an issue because there's a handicapped person there. Have to look
Okay.
into that.
Yeah. West Avenue, I think those need to be prioritized before Pennsylvania and Larchmont and Pennsylvania and Bellevue. No one
No one-
goes down on Pennsylvania
Yeah,
Avenue
why-
at all.
We're all shocked.
I agree. They again, I just kind of want to stay away from ones we already paid.
Right,
I'd still rather do the West Avenue because those are highly trafficked with everyone walking to the ball fields there
Yep.
and the nature trails. I'd rather see those before we spend a
So
dime
we
in
could
Pennsylvania.
do
In Larchmont.
Yeah.
West Avenue in Goucher and West Avenue in Colgate?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I get we just
eliminate
pave there, but-
Pennsylvania and Larchmont.
Yeah, eliminate and Pennsylvania and Bellevue.
Or yeah.
There's only 2 houses, I think, on that block. John's one of them, and
Well, he's
John,
getting
are you
old.
gonna object?
John's gonna need a ramp, that's why we did it.
Eventually.
John, are you gonna need a
you better
ramp?
step back, Harry. Get up some swinging.
Are you the one that has him put the ramp there? Are you pushing for a ramp there? Because we feel the other end of town. I know, I
Where?
realize the page.
Where's this at?
Your house.
Pennsylvania, right at the corner of your property, right down there.
Larchmont and
Pennsylvania,
Bellevue.
Larchmont, Bellevue.
Need a handicap
We don't really
ramp?
need handicap ramps down there, no. And we'll just have to deal with
There's a few good years
opening
left.
West
Not yet.
Avenue because there's real accessibility issues there.
Okay, that's perfect, that's why we're doing this. so we
Okay,
can,
good.
You know, so that actually brings us up to 13 then. Which is okay, we can make 3 an alternate, and then when the bids come in, we can decide,
Right.
you know,
We'll do-
we can flip them out.
We'll flip them out, but we'll definitely correct the ones that are dangerous, right?
Would you?
That need me, yeah.
Okay, would you prefer
I think.
West Avenue over Edgewood?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think
So West Avenue's priority?
it is.
Okay.
That's the one where
I think
people
there's
have
more traffic
contacted
there
me.
between handicapped people that live there and just everyday people walking there.
Yeah,
It's a highly trafficked area,
Yep, okay.
through the fields
understood.
and all,
but definitely Mulberry.
yeah.
We'll do that, and then we'll make the alternates on Edgewood.
Okay, that's great. Okay,
Okay, everybody's in agreement with that? Is that good?
Yep.
yeah,
Okay, then we'll move on with that, right away. We actually have our survey department, scheduled, so
okay, great, thanks, Harry. Thank you, Harry.
you're welcome.
Richard, you're up.
See, if I can go through my piece of paper here.
Nothing, okay.
No, nothing. Just to mention, follow up a little on something Carolyn asked. We were at, about the grant that you're going to have a picture taken, getting some fake check next Friday.
Yeah, fake check, because he
The
said.
check is meaningless.
I
You
know.
can
It's a
recycle that
fake
the next
check,
second. I've been in touch with the office. It's being done through DCA, the SAGE program. You know, you'll have a good time signing that one, Kate.
Yeah, I had a
But
good time already.
who knows when we're going to get the official notice. We'll get an official notice at some point, and then we can do what's called a Chapter 159 budget amendment, put it in our budget. Then we send that up to DCA, to Division of Local Government Services. Who knows how long that's going to take for them to sign off on it, so that then we can apply, we can encumber against it. Then we go do the project and we'll get reimbursed. But one of the important things to do is to know what the parameters are. So they actually don't have the word lighting in their thing, so I'm not sure what our, you know, when you look at the title of the thing, it just says Field of Dreams Soccer Field. So I'm not sure what limitations are, if any. Because the risk that you take, you don't want to go and say, hey, this is what we all want to do. You spend the money and then you submit for reimbursement. They say, wait a minute, that wasn't what we gave you the money for. So we're going to, because this was done through the political side, I've never seen this in New Jersey before.
Yeah.
So this will be a new thing. Don't be in a hurry for anything. Harry's going to take a look at what the lighting costs for one field versus, because he gave her multiple that, you know, he's already knows to look at that. And so this is the kind of thing that'll have a lot of discussion as to exactly how to use it, so we legally make sure we get our money back when we spend it.
Okay,
Because you can use it perhaps for down payment money if you want to borrow for extra things, or for a portion of it, or you can use it for 100% for just, you have to use it just for that. So I don't think the state knows. So when we hear from them, start talking to people about how to do this.
okay, and I know Phil had a suggestion as to what field, so that the poles would be in for the other, was it field 2, Phil? Field 2, keep that in mind, everybody, field 2.
But there'll be months that'll go by
Okay.
before we even, but we should start thinking about what the options are in your minds, talk with, you know, Rec and everybody, and make sure you know all your stuff, so that when and if we get the authorization to actually spend it, then we get started, and then we gotta get contracts with the professionals to do the design, go out to bids. So these things take a long time.
Okay.
Still very good news, and thank you,
Yeah,
Charlie.
don't spend the money
Yes.
Friday.
Yes.
Mike, you're gonna ask me a question?
Yeah, I had spoken to Jennifer Dejian at Senator Singleton's office, and she said that the award could be used for any project at that park, for anything else.
I had a feeling, as soon as I saw the title,
Yes.
because when we submitted it,
Yeah.
they had to give me stuff to put in, it was all about the lighting stuff and so on and all of.
Right.
But
They decided to make it loosey-goosey, so,
Yeah, I think there's a problem with that, in that list, we weren't entirely honest about that, about the lighting, since that has not been discussed. We have not done our due diligence as a governing body to look at that, and putting that on the list and it being selected, I think it's embarrassing for this community that we were deceptive in approaching Senator Singleton's office and the legislature in that list that we submitted.
What was deceptive?
What was deceptive about it? It was recreational.
You said field lighting. We've never done any study of that. Everything else we've looked into in detail.
Harry gave us the estimate.
We've not talked with the contractor. We
talked
don't
about it.
know.
Study of what? Every town has lights, we don't. There's your study.
Yeah,
That's
We're the only
that's
field.
not how government
We're
works.
the only field.
This isn't a candy store that you just say, "Oh, I'd like, okay, can I just
Sure.
air
Go
this
right
out because
ahead.
this is important." I mean, we have not done our due diligence. We have not done any kind of study like we've done for every other thing. We've gotten good estimates. We've talked with contractors. We've researched stuff. We've looked at things in detail. This was added in without any discussion with anybody. Mr. Schwab did put a note that, hey, the committee did not even consider, has not done any research or study or evaluation or gotten estimates from a manufacturer. We don't know if there's an actual need for this. To me, spending, can I just speak without being interrupted by anybody?
Keep going. What time is it?
Well,
We can talk.
it's just not the way good government's supposed to work. You don't just, one or two people say, "Oh, I want to do this," and yeah, you hit the lottery here. It got through. But any time that any other application or submission, that's gone through the process here, where the five of us and the professionals have had, participated in that decision. And like I said, essentially we lied to Senator Singleton and the legislature for this project. And
Richard actually sent us an email about it when it came through.
Right.
And asked for...
We had like 8 hours notice to get him off.
Because literally like 2 days.
And asked everybody for suggestions
Right.
or recommendations on what we could do.
I mean, we
And
got
we
the-
had talked about lighting at the Field of Dreams for how many years, Phil? Since we did the fields.
But it's never been-
So it's been brought up, we got an estimate, we put it in the capital budget, the capital account in the wish list for, it was in there, and I know you objected to that even being in the wish list, but it was something that was brought up to the township committee. You didn't agree with it.
Right.
But it was still on there, and it was one of the items that one of the township committee people sent to Richard, and I don't know if you or Fern or...
Did you guys submit anything?
Did you submit anything to Richard?
No, everything else is on the capital list that
Did you
that
submit
we've talked.
anything to Richard to
No,
put in
we-
for
we-
this recreational grant? That's what it was for, it was recreational, just to
No,
go
it
to-
wasn't. No, it wasn't. Not at all.
We were told it was recreational.
No, it's any municipal project.
I
The
think
street
it's
sweeper
anything.
was on it, the public.
That was the
I-
one that we got the Babe Ruth
I
thing
thought it
for.
was recreational.
That's
That
five
was the
things
other
on-
one.
Those 5 things that was submitted to Jen.
Okay.
Field lighting, improvements to Gateway Park,
Oh, okay.
improvements to the waterfront, the Zerberg Park to include a gazebo, purchase a new street sweep, can't speak tonight, a street sweeper,
Yeah.
and upgrade to the public works yard, including paving, construction of a pole barn, and replacing the old fueling system.
True.
That was $650,000, $300 for the street sweeper.
True.
$200,000 for the gazebo. This will be the world's best gazebo. $50,000 for improvement to Gateway Park, and $750 for lights. So out of the 5 things.
That was also
Right,
hidden.
and
Troy's
so
office, Troy's-
normally when we're looking at spending big money, we do some study of that.
But we had 2 days to figure it out, and we gave them a
so
list of 6 things.
So it doesn't, like I said, it's not a candy store. You don't
It
just throw
was a
something
shot
out
in the
there.
dark.
February 21st.
It was,
They sent the email asking
Right.
for the things.
We've already got
Within 2 days.
a list of priorities. Game, set, match. Send it in. Don't start piling on and say, oh, I want this. Oh, I want this. Let's do this. Yeah, you got lucky. You won something.
Are you mad? They picked our project.
Huh?
Are you mad that they picked our project out of this thing?
No, I think we weren't honest.
Look, you're
in
saying we lied
that we
to
did our
them.
homework on that. We haven't done our homework on it.
Okay, so we will, but they picked that out of the list.
I'm just saying, when I talked to Senator Singleton's office, we can use it, for any other, park improvement out there, retire the debt, pay off this and that. I just think I think it was changed to include or not be specific to the lighting because the lighting, like you said, we haven't done our homework on it. That's all.
I'm just looking at the email now.
are you
I take
going
offense
to
saying
that
we lied.
presentation?
No.
Oh, okay, because I didn't hear back from you, and I would let them know if you plan to go. Okay.
I'm still stuck on the thing that we lied to them. That's
didn't
the
lie.
total misclassification
The
of what we
lights, we had an estimate.
It was a
for the
very
lights.
specific, we didn't
I think
mislead them.
Harry,
And this is exactly, Kate,
Harry,
hold on.
didn't you give us a brief estimate? Didn't you give us an estimate for the lights out there?
Yes,
Some time ago.
Yeah.
6
in
months ago.
February.
Yeah. Hey, John, did you want to make a comment?
I have to leave. I have 4 trees that are blocking the street.
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
you do. You're getting dispatched to each and every one of them.
Oh, my God. Where are they?
Everywhere.
All right.
Be careful, John.
Yeah, be careful, John.
I'm trying to find.
I have a voicemail from AT&T. I wonder what that's about. That's weird, isn't it?
There's no.
Okay, all right.
Okay, moving on.
Just hang on one second.
All right, can we, Richard, were you trying to?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I was just letting you know when I found out.
Hang on one second. The bottom of the email says, that went to Troy's office. Please note the list was compiled by, this is from Richard, from Mayor Fitzpatrick and me, but has not been formally reviewed, discussed, or approved by the full governing body. There was not enough time between your request and the submission deadline to be able to hold the meeting. Agreeing to proceed with any funded project will depend on that required public discussion agreement process. So there is no lie to Senator Singleton's office in there.
Right.
It was clearly
Pretty good
made clear
disclaimer.
Yeah.
that it hasn't been fully vetted.
Could you repeat that so everybody can hear it?
Slowly.
We didn't lie, that was the summary.
Thank you. Adam?
Thank you. I'm going to begin with July stats. For the month of July, the police department completed 26 police cases. They conducted 80 motor vehicle stops.
Talk to your mic.
Yeah, please make.
Put it by your mouth, yeah.
I'll begin again. Police
Thank you.
cases we completed were 26. Motor vehicle stops conducted were 80. Motor vehicle violations issued were 44. They handled 937 calls for service, handled 4 motor vehicle accidents, and had 10 adult arrests. From our last meeting, since a complaint came in about the ordinance violation regarding 295-9, which was the parking restricted for certain classes of vehicle. As soon as the complaint came in, I notified the public using our social media platforms. I also requested that an article be put into the Beverly Bee. Numerous warnings were given out. For the most part, most residents complied. Several did not. They were issued the ordinance violations, and then we handled complaints stemming from that, and they were advised that warnings were given properly, and it was up to them to comply. Lieutenant Warren completed last week a 5-week online transformational leadership and crisis response training program. On August 2nd, Administrator Schwab, Deputy Administrator Lohr, myself met with the Department of Civil Service from the state in regards to alternate route hiring, which I believe our agency will benefit from. We learned new ways that we're going to be able to recruit and hire. We do have a current vacancy, so our hiring process is open, and I have to date received about 14 resumes, and we have a orientation scheduled for August 17th at 5 p.m. So I'm hoping to get a couple more resumes. They have till the 10th of this month to submit the same. And that's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Janice?
Yes, we have some events coming up. And so I've supplied the flyers that we have a fall townwide yard sale, Saturday, September 30th. And we have community cleanup day at the Public Works Garage, Saturday, October 7th, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we will have on the same day, October 7th, a free shredding event for Delanco residents from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. here at the municipal building parking lots. And that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Can't believe we're talking about fall already.
I know.
Thank you, Janice. And Bev, do you have anything? Okay. All right, consent agenda items, we'll move on to them. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted with a single motion. Any item requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. All consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes. We have discussed some of these. Does anyone have anything they want removed for further discussion? Okay, we'll move forward. Ordinance 2023-14. Ordinance authorizing the installation of various capital improvements in and for the Township of Delanco, County of Burlington, New Jersey, appropriating the sum of $90,000, therefore from the Capital Improvement Fund. This is first reading by title only and set the public hearing date for September the 11th, 2023, 7 p.m. Ordinance 2023-15, an ordinance amending Chapter 110 of the Code of the Township of Delanco to modify and amend the I-3 Modified Industrial Zone with regard to distribution facilities. This is the first reading by title only and set the public hearing date for September the 11th, 2023, 7 p.m. Resolution 2023-97. Resolution of the Township of Delanco in the County of Burlington, State of New Jersey, authorizing alternate route hiring process for the position of entry-level law enforcement officer. I guess that should be officers, maybe. Resolution 2023-98, authorizing submission of Form 1A Municipal Alliance Program for 2024. Resolution 2023-99, release performance guarantee for Dolan Contractors, Inc. for Block 1900, Lot 5.02 and Block 1900, Lot 5.03 with conditions. Payment of bills, current fund, $858,686.17. Payroll, $173,754.43. Capital Fund, $9,832.75. Dog Fund, $815. Unemployment Fund, $96. Escrow Trust, $25,965.72. Municipal Open Space, $6,566.75. Approval of minutes, 5/15, 6/12, and 7/5 for 2003. Approval, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
Carolyn, second.
Second.
Bernadette. Roll call, Janice?
Mr. Bartlett?
Yes.
Mr. Olet?
Yes.
Ms. Seuss?
Yes.
Mr. Templeton?
Yes.
Mrs. Patrick?
Yes. Approval of minutes for June 26, 2023. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Carolyn, Matt, Bartlett, roll call.
Mr. Bartlett?
Yes.
Mr. Olet?
Yes.
Ms. Seuss?
Yes.
Mr. Templeton?
Yes.
Mrs. Patrick?
Yes. Correspondence, Janice?
Yes. Two pieces of correspondence. The first one is we received a letter from the New Jersey DOT that they are accepting applications for the 2024 Safe Routes to School program. Those applications are due November 17th, 2023. We usually participate in the municipal aid DOT grant program. We haven't participated in Safe Routes to School for a while because it's just difficult to get, and the eligible areas are quite narrow. But I just wanted to report that for the minutes that was received. We also received email correspondence from Mr. Fern Olet, noting that there are 2 positions open on the Delanco History Board and requesting to be appointed to fill one of those open seats on the Delanco History Board from Fern Olet. And that is the correspondence that I have.
Thank you, Janice. I guess we could vote to approve Fern's appointment to the History Board. Could we do that?
Yeah.
Sure.
So they get a full board.
Did we do a motion to approve that?
Yep.
Okay, so I make a motion that we approve Fern Olet for the History Board. Is there a second?
Second.
Matt, roll call, Janice?
Mr. Bartlett?
Yes.
Mr. Olet?
Yes.
Ms. Suess?
Yes.
Mr. Templeton?
Yes.
Mrs. Patrick?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Meeting open to the public for comments and questions, session 2. Jack? I know, Jack, I did see you at the supermarket. I saw your wife, but haven't seen you here.
Back to Jack K. 44 Pennington Court. Back to street trees. Is there a requirement that there be a street tree between the sidewalk and the curb? I mean, if we're replacing lifted sections of sidewalk at our expense with some reimbursement from the township, can we take the tree out so it doesn't happen again?
No, you have to go to the Shade Tree Commission, as I had indicated and Mike had indicated. You have to apply to have the tree removed. And if you're denied, you can reapply again. If you're denied again, you can come to the Township Committee as an appeal process, but you can't just remove it without an okay.
A number of years ago, a large number of trees were removed along the streets in Newton's Landing because of some disease or insects they were going to gather or whatever.
The ash trees, yeah.
Yes. Some of those trees were replaced, a lot of them were not. There are large sections along Pennington Court where there are no street trees, either side of the street. Now, how can that be permitted when I can't take a tree out? I mean, those trees were taken out because of some mandate from, I guess, the Shade Tree Commission, but they were not put back.
That again is, I think, a question for the Shade Tree
That's
Commission.
I think the reason in that instance is that in your neighborhood, the distance between the curb and the sidewalk really eliminates a lot of potential trees to plant there. And so they may not have been available, or because of the difficulties, because that's such a narrow planting strip, it's not prudent to put a tree back in that spot. Plus the issues with the irrigation, either in some cases, as we've learned when the sidewalks were replaced, the irrigation was inadvertently routed to that planting strip, or because of the grade of the yards there, the water sheds off, and so as is obvious, the tree looks for the water, and so if it's a tree that's normally going to go deep into a taproot, it doesn't need to make that effort if it's surface watering.
When Newton's Landing was developed, basically all the street trees were put on the property lines.
On the yards?
On the grass strip between the sidewalks and the Belgian block curb, but they were put on the property lines. Meaning that every 60 foot or so along the street, property line, a tree was planted there.
Right.
Therefore, theoretically, neither I nor my next door neighbor own that tree.
Well, somebody does, I guess.
Well,
in between
Yes,
the township tree, you don't own it. But I think you have a case, as Mike just said, I think you have a case for tree removal if the strip is too small for the tree. To me, that's a case for a shade tree to take the tree out.
Okay.
And that's the problem with some of the trees in Newton's Landing.
So basically, it all goes back to the shade.
Shade Tree Commission, yes, Jack.
They're gonna love this.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Fully anticipate that.
Ray, did you have something else?
Jack brought up something and it reminded me, Ray Weber, 22 ships. When the development was built, and Mike Hughes brought it up to me, and that triggered me also. Sprinkler systems, the township allowed it. Because the township had, I've seen the blueprints, which the township would have had, the engineer would have had at that point, where the sprinkler systems were going. The sprinkler systems went underneath the sidewalk out to the street, in spots. Pretty much every house in there has at least one sprinkler head between the curb and the sidewalk. Also, where those trees are. The trees are not supposed to be anywhere near a street light. We've got trees where the street light's right in the middle of it, and the tree's less than 4 feet from the tree and the light. And half the time you can't even see the street light. The other thing too is stop signs, crosswalks. You're not supposed to be within, what, 15, 20 feet of a stop sign? You're within that. Again, it's those trees between the curb and the sidewalk that's causing the problems. I know John came out and took care of a lot of it. He cut them back so that at least we could see and stuff. But there's still some that are still there, and they've grown back. That's all I have to say, because what happens is, everything that the township had way back when in 2002, in 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003 timeframe, all the blueprints were there with the township when they were building those houses, and they allowed it to go in.
Yeah.
You've got the electric lines, you've got the water lines. I've got a picture right now on my phone where the tree, which is less than 4 feet from my water meter, broke through the lining of my water meter and wrapped itself around my water meter. It took me 4 months to get the Tree Commission to come out there and take a look at that, with pictures and everything else for that. And what happens is, they finally did come out after I went back to Brown and Holland. And finally one of the people from the Tree Commission did come out, and they just cut the roots off in that meter. And if I hadn't had those roots cut off, the water meter company, when they came out to replace the water meter, told me within 2 years I wouldn't have water in my house. So why in the heck are you putting trees between curbs and sidewalks? You look at any major city, they eliminate those type of trees in there that cause problems. You got your electric, you got your water, you got your sewer, all in that same area, and it all interferes with it. So, I mean, that's where I'm not against trees.
No, I
No one,
understand.
plant the right tree, plant it in the right spot.
Exactly.
Because what happens is, I've got a tree less than 3 feet from my driveway. And on the other side of that, within 4 feet, is my neighbor's water meter. And guess what? There's roots all around that water meter. He probably doesn't even realize it because the water company hasn't opened up. What I've got to do right now, I go out every 6 months and open up the water meter. Just make sure that the roots have not grown back in. I've had to trim some of them myself, because some of them have grown back in.
So,
I shouldn't have to do that.
no, but you need to put this in writing to the Shade Tree Commission.
I will.
And apply, Jack, you too.
Yeah, I mean,
The whole neighborhood will.
I've got 264 homes, and I got 264 people gonna be coming in, the Shade Tree Commission's gonna be real busy now.
Well, keep us posted on your progress.
Yes, if I can attend the meeting, I will.
Yeah, as I said, that's where I'm coming from on this. As I said, I'm getting tired of fighting for this stuff, with the township. The problem is that we have some older people who are on fixed income. Guess what? They're having to sell their houses because they can't afford it. They're moving back with their kids because they can't afford it. I hate to see that happen. They figured they were going to live there and die there. But no, they can't, because they can't afford it on the fixed income. And that's where we're coming from. And it's gonna happen to all of them. I hate to say it, but it's just gonna happen to all of us.
Yeah.
But sooner or later, I'm not even gonna be able to live in that house. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Anyone else? Okay, I'll close this portion of the meeting to the public and move on to our discussion items. The first item is participation in Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan update. It looks like they made an amendment, Richard.
This is not my, Janice knows more about than I do.
Oh, okay.
You guys, I don't know anything about this one.
Yeah, in your packet, the county, sent a letter asking if Delanco wanted to once again participate in the, regional hazard mitigation update. We have, participated in the past rather than doing our own hazard mitigation plan. We have participated, and they're just looking that if we want to do this, that we need to send them a letter saying, yes, we will participate on the regional update plan rather than do one on our own. So this is about every
couple of years,
every 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
2017, 18.
Yeah.
Through your office.
Yeah. So the last
So we've all, Matt, you would recommend this?
Yeah, we talked about this at the OEM meeting. Mike actually brought it up. And funny enough, the county OEM didn't include the municipal OEMs on this. So
They did not.
if I wasn't on the township committee, I wouldn't know anything about this. So it's interesting they did that. I would say, be a part of it, but I would also express caution, and not so much caution, but based on what Mike said from the information that we gave in previous years, when we talked at the OEM meeting last week, of like the critical infrastructure and things we have, they didn't include, and they put things like the bathrooms at Pennington Park as our critical infrastructure, which of course we need on a stormy night like tonight, instead of our generators and our equipment. So I would just say we make sure we include that, and hopefully I can put a little thumb on the scale when they actually listen as being part of the OEM. But
Vern and I attended a FEMA grant meeting up at the county training center, and what was the guy's name? Darrell?
Yeah, Darrell Williams.
Darrell Williams.
Yeah, he said that, I sent it out to all the OEMs, and I only got 2 responses. And I asked the question, I said, well, if you wanted to get to the OEM people, send it to the administrator and the municipal clerks, because that position is usually a more stable position, and we'll get to that person, and that person will get it to whoever the OEM is, or police, or fire, or EMS. And the guy kept on saying, yeah, I only got 2 responses. And I said, well, that's telling you got a problem there, that you're not getting enough attention. And there were, maybe 16, 15 people that attended that for the county.
yeah, and ours was one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rob Bierk was there.
Right. So are you going to get this list, because it says to provide data and information regarding your community?
Well, this is just saying we will agree to do that. We don't have to do that at this point.
Okay.
So I imagine
You'll work
that
on it.
they'll reach out to us with what information they need and when.
You gotta get this list of all the people.
You have to get
Right.
a list of the people on this form.
Right.
Volunteering to do all this.
Now,
Yeah.
in the last 2 rounds, your municipal clerk has been the POC for lack of any other POC stepping up. And then alternate, Bill Dillenbeck did it 1 year, and I believe, Mike, you were the secondary POC.
Yeah.
So, given that, if you want to shift that to more emergency management personnel,
Well, I think it's nice to have a point of contact in the
I think either your POC or an alternate should be a stable position.
Exactly, unless you don't want to, but I think should be somebody here, and then Matt and maybe Rob,
Well, obviously Rob first as the
Rob,
coordinator,
and then you,
myself and Bill.
but definitely the,
Right, well, it calls for 1 POC, point of contact, and then an alternate secondary one.
right.
So, would you put the,
Put Rob as the secondary.
Rob as a secondary,
Yeah,
or?
put Rob as a
And
secondary,
you as the
yourself as
primary. Yeah, and you as the primary.
And the other positions are pretty static, you know,
Yeah,
the engineer.
Yeah, public works, emergency
Yeah, the
management.
planner.
Actually, emergency management, that would be the second, so put Rob
Right.
as the, one, the secondary is emergency management. And we could have another elected official,
Right.
slash administrator, so Richard, and I guess Mike for building department.
So,
Yeah, well, usually because I'm not a part-time and I'm not around here usually, it's not the administrator, usually pick another elected official, but
Wouldn't you have the code enforcement official on that? Building department and code enforcement?
well, it's either Mike or
Yeah, they're listed.
Ed,
Yeah.
usually Mike. But he's part-time, he wouldn't be, I don't know.
He's
I don't
on
know what
our,
to do
he's on
anyway.
our OEM. He's an OEM member.
so,
Mike is, or Ed
Clerk's
is?
there right now.
Ed is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ed
I'd give
is.
Ed, plus Ed also has done emergency management.
That's right, Ed.
Yeah, I would
Stuff
do
like
Ed,
that.
yeah, 'cause-
Mhm.
yeah.
the other part of this is that, and I have attended these in the past rounds, is that, you actually attend meetings of, it's not emergency management, it's this update, and you're required to attend so many meetings.
Right.
So there has to be a commitment, from certain people that they're going to attend these meetings.
It says approximately 3 meetings over 6 to 8 months, including a kickoff and mitigation strategy workshop.
Right. So, it would be, like I said, I've done this in the past,
And you don't want to do it again.
well,
Go ahead, just
no, it's not,
say it.
it's not that I don't want to,
I think she's saying, Bev, it's your turn.
Bev, is it your turn, Bev?
no,
She can feel that coming.
no, you guys did that. I just,
Phone ringing in the office, I think.
I don't know how long this process is going to be.
Right. Okay,
So-
so if Bev would agree, would you agree for this particular agreement? Okay. And then, Matt, would you, because I think if you're going to put Rob as the emergency management, maybe you could be an alternate if Richard...
That's fine either way.
Yeah, okay. And,
Like, you know, I mean, if they start this process, you know, like I said, I've been involved, I will gladly, you know,
Lay your life down on this.
yeah, you know, but I think someone else should learn this.
okay, I think maybe Bev...
That's
should
what I'm
do
trying to
that.
say. I think someone
Okay.
else needs to learn this.
Yes, I understand. Okay. So, when does this have to be returned?
Yesterday.
Yesterday?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, a lot, like some of them, like the engineers, Harry, Public Works is John,
You should have all this.
yeah.
And in the past, attending a lot of these, the kickoff and a lot of these workshops and everything, every town sends different people. You know, you can have your engineer there, you can have your floodplain administrator there, you can have a planner there. It's a real, you know, diverse turnout. We've seen, you know, elected officials have been there, same way with, you know, when I go to CDGB, it's everything from engineers and administrators and clerks and elected officials. It's who you want. Can be very diverse. You could send Harry, for example, to this.
You look so excited.
I still vote for Bev.
Yeah.
Well, the last time I went through this, somehow it was a third-party contractor that the county had to retain. It was an outfit called Tetra Tech.
Tetra Tech.
Somehow, two people in your office
With that from Brother Town.
were working, you know, helping us with that. And then Janice and I were kind of trying to massage it, to customize it to Delanco.
Right. And we had to remember the SWOT analysis we had to do, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
I know, yeah.
SWOT, remember the SWOT analysis? So it is a little bit more involved than what you think. It's not just sitting there and attending. There's things you have to do for your municipality.
Right.
You know.
So you have most of the contact information to put in
Yeah,
here?
yeah,
Okay,
no.
all right. So we're definitely going to do that
I think we should, yeah.
yeah, so do we need any Formal action.
I would just make a motion to approve the participation in the multi-jurisdictional all-hazard mitigation plan update that
Okay.
Burlington County is spearheading. I think a motion to say, yes, we're going to participate, then that way I can get that letter back to the county.
I'll make a motion to do exactly what Janice just said.
Yes. And somebody got a second?
I'll
Matt?
second.
Fern, second.
Fern, second. All in favor is sufficient?
Yep.
Aye. And the next item is the sign ordinance, continued discussion.
Yes, in your packets, I placed, rather than duplicating, you have the portion of our code about sign regulations, but it's also marked with, these are Fern's notes and recommendations.
Yeah, has anybody else submitted any recommendations?
No, I just received Fern's comments and recommendations.
I think I did last year.
Yeah, I think maybe you
I feel like I
did.
did last year.
Yeah, you still have.
So, and this analysis that you're doing is a result of the planning board requesting updates.
Our update, yeah.
Mhm.
Does anybody have any comments?
I just tried to go through and, as I looked at it, looked at some of the small businesses and their signage issues that they deal with, and the restrictions that the ordinances have on them. Like the gentleman that came in this evening, from the smoke shop, about the feather banners, they're not allowed, but yet we have some businesses
Have
that
'em.
have them, and, maybe that's something that we should allow, but maybe have stipulations on the amount of time that they put them out there.
Like the ice cream shop. Frank puts one out there, it's out there when the ice cream shop's open, he pulls it in when he closes.
Yeah, and that's what they should do. It should be out there during their course of business. Hideout should be able to have one out during their course of business, and this gentleman,
It needs to be somewhat.
Sam should be
needs
able to have.
business friendly here.
Yeah, we need to be business
Yeah.
friendly. So I would allow that, but,
But where does that go here? It's very complicated. the way-
this
this
ordinance
ordinance is
is
very-
not
It gives me a headache.
simply put together. I'm sorry.
No, it's not.
It's a mumbo jumbo, and I think we ought to rewrite it.
Who put this, Michelle did?
Yeah. I think we should really, it probably would be a good idea if we had a subcommittee review it and simplify it, so that somebody who wants to put a sign up can be able to read it and understand what they can do and they can't do. Business shouldn't be mixed in with residential, and I think we should allow those feather signs for our businesses so that during their operation hours, they can advertise. So I would like to put together a subcommittee.
Be on it since I'm part of the joint land use board. Just makes-
Pardon?
I said I would like to be on it since I'm part of the joint land use board. It just makes sense.
Okay.
Since I'm involved.
You want to be on it, Fern?
I'd like to, I think there's, again, from a business standpoint, I think some of the restrictions that are in here.
Yeah, they're a little tight.
They're tight, and then if you look at, if a business is coming in, a small business wants to come in on Burlington Avenue, some of their signage, a new business coming in, some of their signage restrictions might be too tight also.
Right. Okay. So,
I'm just seeing in here, for the electronic signs, the number of times per hour, we changed it from 1 time per hour up to 6 times per hour, which I think is,
Oh,
that's
that may
great.
be too
But by the time we've been talking about this in here right now, that sign has changed 6 times out front.
so who
it's-
is going to watch that sign? Our police department? Are they going
Ed's gonna
to,
stand out there and,
or our code enforcement official? I mean, that's,
Gonna hire
really.
6 more for this purpose.
That's ridiculous. Even the school sign, the library sign, they would be under, that's crazy.
yeah,
It's absolutely crazy, that section.
I've never seen something like it.
Yeah, it's really,
Well,
it's very.
You don't want it to change like this,
Like
like this.
managing this.
Yeah, And so to review it and to make recommendations and changing, I think is an excellent idea. So the subcommittee is definitely needed and put together something that's simple and easy to read and benefits our businesses too.
Who else should be on the subcommittee with us?
Pardon?
Who else should be on the subcommittee with us?
You don't have to.
Richard and Candace, of course.
Well, you may want to have somebody from the Joint Land Use Board, I don't know. She's Joint Land Use and Township Committee, you and Fern, I think that's enough. Because who actually, and I don't know if you want to include Ed.
Well,
When the right time?
Yeah,
I think Ed's more for enforcing what we put in front of him.
well, that's true, he doesn't need suggestions, so just the two of you is fine with me. Anybody have any objections to that?
No, I would suggest that flower shops be allowed to put wherever they want up.
They can put that flag out there, Harry.
Don't get started, Harry.
I'm sure Shirley would agree.
Whatever Karen needs.
We're too small a town, that's the problem.
All right.
Today's rules.
Does anybody have anything else?
I mean, if there's someone on the.
Come before this meeting.
We're good, review it, might be a good idea.
No?
I'll let you know when they find it.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Absolutely, so moved.
So moved.
Second.
Mike
All in
seconded.
favor?
Aye.
Yeah, give this.
Aye. Aye, I'm over.
I think storm's on too, right? Yes.
Several trees down.